Hi everyone. I thought I'm going to make a little video that has to do with a, a, a full Windows 8 installation walkthrough. Yeah, I tried to sort of connect the laptop to my big screen that's like literally behind the laptop right now, but it didn't really work. The laptop just won't uh, it just won't display anything on the big screen unless an operating system is running, which I find weird because the other laptop I have, which is considerably older, can do that without problems. Okay, now what I have here is a HP Pavilion G6 with an i3 chip. It's like over 2 gigahertz, and it has 6 gigabyte of RAM and 750 gigabyte hard drive. This is on this thing here. That's a USB stick. I hope you can see that right now, because I can't see the screen of what the camera is showing me. It contains the final build of Windows 8 that's going to be shipped to the world in October. In my line of work, I already have access to that because we have MSDN access. Yeah, so apologies if the image is shaking from time to time, because that's probably I'm doing something on the laptop. So this really is the best as it is as good as it gets. Yeah. Um, and we want to boot Windows, so I'm going to say hopefully boot device options. Yeah, it has detected that, so we say SanDisk, which is the USB drive, and here we go. So let's see, this is the Windows 8 logo. I'm not sure you can see that perfectly. Let's move that a bit to the middle here. Oops. I'm using it's a little bit Spartan with the camera setup. Yeah, so this is the official new Windows 8 logo as it is. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it appears white on the camera screen, but it's actually sort of like a bluish thing. On my PC I have an SSD, which makes things obviously considerably faster. Yeah, so here we go. This is the standard Windows 8 setup. Not much has changed compared to Windows 7, and we want to, because I'm in Ireland, so we want to set this to the right setting here. One second. So you should make sure that you select the right thing here. And that's it, you go next. And we're gonna say install now. Yeah. Setup is starting. This is relatively normal. Let's see if we can maybe lift the camera a little bit higher so you can pretty much see everything. Oh no, maybe we're good. This is the camera is widescreen, so we're good. Um, I'm gonna edit this out later on, because I don't want you to see my Windows 8 key, which is a legitimate key. So I will have to blur that out at some point somehow. So I'm going to have to pull up my notes on the phone here, which is a Galaxy Note, by the way. So as memo, and you will obviously not be able to see that. But I also don't want to move the camera right now, so this is obviously going to be edited so that you can't read that in clear text, because we don't want that, right? You will have to, this is we are doing a clean install, by the way. We are not doing an upgrade or anything the likes. We are doing a full clean install so that you can see what that looks like. Hang on, we're almost there. I have, yeah, so there we go. This is the key. I think this should be valid. One second, I'm just gonna check my entries. Yeah, so the image will appear clear to you after the CD key has vanished from the screen. Yeah, so that's the license agreement. You feel free to read this or not. That's up to you. I'm just gonna accept. And we're gonna say custom install. The reason I'm doing this is because there's Linux on this machine, Linux Mint, which I use for testing, and we're gonna pretty much go drive options If you have nothing of particular interest on this drive, you can pretty much delete anything. So delete. We go and do this with all partitions. Delete. For sake of easiness of this particular tutorial, I'm just going to use one partition. Everything is going to be unallocated space after this. Boom. So we have a 500 gigabyte hard drive, not 750. I apologize for that. So new. If you want, you can give it the full available space, and what happens is that Windows warns you that it will create a secondary partition on which it stores the kernel, bootloader, and all that kind of crazy nonsense that it requires to actually boot the laptop, or for any PC for that matter. And that's it. That's created. Make sure that you don't select the small one, yeah, which is 350 megabyte in this case. Make sure that you select the biggest one or the partition on which you want to install Windows on. I do recommend a minimum of 60 gigabyte, just because you never know what happens. We're gonna say next. Hello, next, and that will copy the files. This is unedited. This is completely out of the blue. There's no cheating here, so you can get a feel for the actual time it takes for Windows 8 to be installed on your computer. Again, this is an i3 chip with 2 point something gigahertz, and I forgot the something, the decimal spot. But it's definitely above 2, and it's a dual core or quad core, I'm not entirely sure. It's nothing fancy, it doesn't have any NVIDIA super chip in it, it's just a fairly normal graphic card that should be enough for anything that you might want to do in terms of maybe Facebooking or email. If you're like programming and doing more graphical demanding stuff, then you should get a better laptop, but obviously the performance of that laptop will be better if you're installing an operating system. Alright, so that's installing. I'm gonna grab a Pepsi here, which I have left in my cup. I'm also working on my engine, which is going to be voxel based. I've gone into hiding for quite some time now, but the reason for that is that I want to show you stuff when it's ready to show. Yeah. There are other things on the laptop screen, like on the bottom left it says 1 collecting information and 2 is installing Windows. But the rig I have here, where the camera is on and the laptop, it's fairly short, and this is the best I can do. So bear with me. And I do hope that the installation finishes before I run out of tape, which will be in about 30 minutes. Yeah. So we'll see about that, and hopefully we can finish this within 30 minutes so that you can get a feel of the installation. Yeah. I have discovered a little neat engine which is called VoxLab, written and designed by a man named Ken Silverman. He is known for little things like creating the build engine for Duke Nukem 3D, and I think he also worked on Doom for I think ID Software at the time, and he made his source code available. It's quite complex. I looked at it. It goes so far as to using custom assembler code, and the mechanism is quite fantastic because it doesn't require hardware acceleration, and you can display literally about 1 billion voxels without any hardware acceleration, which is extremely impressive in my book. And I want to figure out how to yeah, I just farted. Yeah, I want to figure out how to use that engine. I know you need Windows and what's it called, NMake, which is the Visual Studio compiler, and it uses directdraw.lib, and direct input.lib, which are Windows internal libraries, which you can only get if you have Visual Studio. Yeah, and I experimented around with that today with with catastrophic success as it is. But I think I messed up myself because I modified the assembler source code, which I probably shouldn't have done. And I mean, for some reason the demos are running, but if you move the camera around, it crashes. That's it. It will just freeze. And on I did this on Windows 8, which is particularly interesting to see the effects. It could also have to do with me using the Visual Studio 2012 compiler, the newest one. There is Visual Studio is, I think, available now. So we'll probably hear more about that in a very short time frame. But yeah, so that's the current progress on the engine. I tried other things like to display a few million voxels in OpenGL, which kind of works if you are only displaying a part of the few million voxels. So it's not necessarily effective. You have to do something called frustum culling, in which you determine what parts of your world are currently entirely visible and what parts are not. And the parts that are not, you just eliminate from the equation and you just draw what you actually see. We have to remove the USB stick when it restarts, because otherwise it will just boot from that, and that would be not good. So we're gonna, the machine is restarting now. I just want to wait. Okay, so here we go. Boom. You have to remove your installation media after the first step, and you can see that the Windows logo is coming up. Yeah, but that with OpenGL it didn't really work so well. It does work, but the problem is that OpenGL in the end of the day is something called a rasterizer. Yeah, and that by nature means that you get a relatively slow geometry. It has to do a lot of matrix calculation shit in the background, which takes a lot of time. Well, it doesn't take so much time if you just have one cube, but if you have say 5 million cubes and they're all connected with a triangle strip and something called VBO, vertex buffer object, things can get quite interesting. And all of these things accumulate, and it takes a lot of time, which is not really useful. I tried something called geometry shader, where you send in a list of points, yeah, like a list of vectors. A vector is 3 points, yeah, because to define a point in three-dimensional space, you need 3 coordinates, because we live in a three-dimensional world. Yeah, that's it. That's the absolute minimum of what you have to define, because if you just define 2 coordinates, that's 2D. Yeah, that's a flat shape. Yeah, it's missing the higher order bit, as I would like to call it, the third dimension. Yeah, so you will have to define 3 points in the very least to define. You have to have 3 coordinates to define 1 point. Sorry, and you just send in a list of points. So 1 point times 3, and geometry shader would construct whatever you want for you, which runs directly on the graphic card. Yeah.